Alright, so we got D-level Maxx. This is honestly this is probably the easiest time I've had of getting to D-level Maxx out of all three Duelist Cups so far. I didn't D-rank a single time. In fact, I only lost consecutive games. I feel like I don't remember losing consecutive games like at all besides this one time in like 19. Whether I was just like 1 loss, 3 wins, 4 win streak, 5 win streak. And it's probably because all I pretty much faced was like Spright. And I built my deck completely around like the Spright matchup, so I guess that makes sense. I was expecting a bit more jank, but didn't really see that much of it. Didn't even see many Ishizu piles. So anyway, here's the. So again, this is a deck that's basically designed to counter Spright. You're just running, as you can see, Dark Hole, Dark Hole, Dark Hole, Raigeki, triple interrupted Kaiji Slumber, which is the Dark Hole. You got the double Lightning Storm, the Feather Duster, the Tactus. I'll go over the ratios about all of this, I guess. So main thing is the Gren Maju stuff. I had to cut. So it was just not impactful enough. I would say, like, because when you're playing into established boards, a lot of the time Gren Maju doesn't do anything until you commit to the battle phase. So it's kind of it. Like, you want all your cards to be able to do stuff to their board before you enter battle phase, because battle phase should be reserved for either you going for a game shot or going for a Zeus play. So yeah, the Gren Maju doesn't help the Zeus play, and it doesn't play into anything. Like, it doesn't bait out any of their negates really. They don't have to commit to anything until the battle phase, and then they'll screw you. Or like at most you could normal summon Gren Maju, attempt to beat over an IP and stuff like that, but then you just use your normal summon on this. And that was another thing, like this deck. One of the issues I had before when I had Gren Maju in build was because this deck runs about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 to 7 draws, or 5. What am I talking about? 6, like anywhere from 6 to 8 draw spells if you include triple Tactus. You draw a lot of cards, and you end up normally the math is 5 normal summons for a 40 card deck. So average, to expected only open 1 normal summon. Like, but when you're drawing like 8, when you're running like 8 Pot of Reeds in your deck, you're gonna end up drawing a lot more cards than you would in a typical 40 card deck. So you end up drawing multiple normal summons if you run more than 3. That's why we chose DIVA, because DIVA is still really good. Because Baron is very good in established boards. Changing is very good in established boards in combination with other cards, such as, funny enough, board wipes, and Slumber and Baron itself. And the Kaiju ratios are. So number one, this is not 40 cards. I ran 41 cards because I noticed there was a couple times where when I was running 40 cards, I would not be able to use Gizmek a second time during my opponent's turn after going through a few desires. Like, it was literally, I was 1 card short of a second Gizmek activation, like every time I wanted that. So I just put in like a 7th Kaiju to make the card deck 41. I don't think adding a 41 card deck makes the consistency much worse, but on the off chance that it gets me more Gizmek activation, that's like an actual tangible benefit for reason for going over 40. So yeah, that's why the dangers are pretty self-explanatory. Dangers, Gizmek, and Alpha, these are all the level 8s that every 8-axis deck runs. The Kaiju ratio. So I think Kaijus are really good because Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is the best board wipe in the game when resolved. Since Slumber, it does more than just wipe like their board, right? it gives you a level 8 body you can use for free to go into any Xyz, any synchro you want. And almost just as importantly, it gives your opponent a big body that's like kaiju. So you get a body, and then your opponent gets something on their field that helps you summon alpha, since you always give your opponent the bigger kaiju, so you can summon alpha after a slumber as well, since they'll have more attack on their field. And it also lets you summon out other kaijus from your hand. It turns additional kaijus into extenders as well. Anytime you resolve this, you basically have a shot. You basically have like 2 separate lines to game. Like this card's really good. And specifically for the kaiju ratio, so I maxed out on Dogoran over Gamma Seal as like a slight optimization, because I want to give my opponent as much attack as possible so that I can summon, so it works best with alpha. Like if I give my opponent Gamma Seals and then I summon something like a Thunderbird, alpha is dead. But if I give them, if you give your opponent a Dogoran, that means you can summon Thunderbird and then you can still summon alpha afterwards. You can make any rank 8 with less than 3k attack. So most importantly would be Axi's Photon Dragon as a negate to play around hand traps, and Dingirsu as a non-targeting board wipe. You can go into these two and then still summon alpha afterwards as well. Now so it's really slight optimization. I don't think it really came up at all. So like, you know, I know it's like not worth crafting Dogorans just to be able to, just for the attack point value. Like 3 Gamma Seal is completely fine. The only reason I have these is because I was rolling for Slaiju Slumbers. I just rolled a bunch of Dogorans before my Slumbers. You know, thanks Master Duel. Yeah. Also, importantly, Dogoran and Godarla have 1600 attack, or 1600 defense. So when you make Pain Gainer, when you overlay Pain Gainer will always have 2200 defense at minimum, because getting 200 defense for the amount of ranks of Xyz on the field, and Pain Gainer is 11. It's a rank 11 Xyz. So that means you can use Pain Gainer, has an effect where you can kill opponents' monsters that have less defense than this current card. So Dogoran and Godarla have less defense, so you can pop these two. If you give your opponent these 2 kaijus, you can pop them with Pain Gainer and then attack directly. Whereas if you give them a Gamma Seal, you can't pop the Gamma Seal, so you lose out on a bit of damage there. Sometimes. And now the reason why this deck is so good into Spright boards is because we're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 9, depending on how you count Lightning Storm. Like 9 board wipes into their field. The goal is to open at least 2 of either 2 board wipes or a board wipe and a kaiju. That would generally be enough to get a way to destroy all the threats on the opposing Spright board, because they only have 1 spell and trap negate per turn, which is Carrot. So if you open 2 board wipes, you can just fire them off in succession, and then there goes that. Their IP can't make anything threatening. You don't commit to the board before you use your board wipes, so they can't like unicorn anything. They can at most make something like Avermax or Appaloosa, which that doesn't do much for them, because it either gets kaiju'd, or you could, in like ideal scenarios, you could triple tactics take them, which if you saw it in the replays, I did that a couple times, and I used their Appaloosa against them but they made off IP. So that's cool right there. And Change of Heart is like a filler. This is honestly probably the worst card in the deck. For this specific meta, you don't really need 1-for-1 removal. Like 1-for-1 removal is not really that impactful. And the problem thing is, if this targets, unlike the triple tactics talent take, this doesn't target, so you can take stuff like Avermax. Change of Heart is like, sometimes I use this, I keep this in hand, and I hope my danger discards this card instead of a different card. Yeah, it's the 41st card, and it's not in any pack, so if you don't want to craft the change of heart, it's probably not necessary. What is necessary is the triple trade-in. Because trade-in with dangers is crazy. Like, trade-in with Gizmek is the classic, like, pot of greed. You draw 2 cards and the Gizmek comes back for free, but Bigfoot and Thunderbird out so many things when you position with trade-in. Like, you gain so much advantage by drawing 2 cards and then nailing, like, their 1 back row or nailing a face-up threat. Like if you saw in my replay video, I trade in discarded discarded Bigfoot. I popped their Runick Fountain because they were on Runick Spright. They couldn't Hugin protect it, and that just turned off their entire hand pretty much. And then you just kill them. You can Maxx you whatever you want. And that's another thing. You might be thinking, what do you do when you get Maxx? This deck has played 0 outs to Maxx. So what you do is you take the Maxx challenge every single time, and you kill them. Generally, they'll have to draw. The way they survive is they have to draw 2 specific hand traps. They can't draw into Imperm because their field's flocked with monsters. That's not an out. And they draw any single hand trap. Generally, a lot of times you have gas to make number 90 Galaxy-Eyes Photon Lord. This is essentially just a monster negate, so this trades with 1 hand trap. A lot of times, they have to draw Veiler, like likely Veiler plus Ogre or Nibiru, any of those combinations of those 3 cards. Those 3 obviously being in this meta, they are the most unpopular hand traps, and people prioritize Maxx, Ash, and Imperm. Maxx and Ash for the Maxx minigame, and Imperm to play around triple tactics. And none of those are live draws when you Maxx me with an established with like a monster on board. So you have to be maining less popular hand traps like Veiler and Nibiru. A lot of people do not like Nibiru in this meta because of Spright. So it's a lot. I'm gonna tell you right. I think I won every single Maxx challenge that I took. I didn't get punished a single time, and I just killed them every time. I'm in past formats. I feel like that would not be unreliable, but just because of the way the hand trap meta is taking place right now and what people are running, I think it's actually somewhat reliable to just take the Maxx challenge with this deck and just kill them. Especially since you never have to worry about clearing your field either. A lot of times when you kill your opponent, you can do it through Numeron Dragon, attacking over a monster they control. So you never clear their board and play into Infirm or Gamma. You never they have walls on their side of the field, or they have like 4 defense position Spright monsters. Like it literally doesn't matter. You just attack over the kaiju you give them, and that's also game. Spright in particular burns themselves with starter, so like they're not even at 8k most of the time. A lot of times they're like anywhere from 6.8 to 7k, and that just makes the threshold for killing them even easier, since Numeron Dragon, you can just attack over any 2k monster they have in this game. Like you can attack over a spent elf, and that will be game after they use starter. So yeah, and for the ratios of board wipes, I think Slumber and Trade-in, or Slumber is the most important one. This 1 out of 3, it has the most impact when resolved. Dark Hole is, I initially put in triple Dark Hole over Raigeki because stuff like Ibly Lock. Dark Hole is really good against the Ibly Lock. That's one thing that's really annoying. Like Live Twin Spright is the worst version of Spright to play, because they give you an Ibly Lock and that turns off your battle phase, so then you can't kill them and you can't make Zeus most of the time, so it's unfortunate. Dark Hole does that. And Raigeki is so I'm gonna be honest, the main reason I don't have Raigeki is because it's a UR and I can't see myself using it in any other deck. I know, triple Trade-in, triple Bigfoot, triple Dogoran, I Sleep, second Raigeki, real shit. that's where I draw the line. But yeah, this you could very well put in a second Raigeki in this deck, maybe even a dark hole, or you can just run 42. Because honestly, anywhere from 41, I would say, to 43 or 44 cards does not matter the most. Does not really matter particularly for this deck. And I haven't done the math that hardcore, but you know, perhaps that might let you get more desires and more Gizmek activations by running a higher deck count. I haven't explored with that yet. And Harpy's Feather Duster is... I think Harpy's Feather Duster should be a third Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is really good because it doubles as monster removal as well as back row removal. But again, if you think of Spright, right? What do they have in Tactical Edition? Their Elf and their IP. So at the very least, you can use Lightning Storm to bait out an IP if they don't have back rows. And Lightning Storm in combination with Slumber, it baits out their IP and stuff, and then it leaves monster in the field to where you can slumber them. Because Slumber, in order to summon Kaijus, it has to destroy monster. It's like the one way that the Spright player can play around this is by IPing away their entire board into like a 4 material apple, so that can't be destroyed, and then you don't get your Kaiju summons. But if you Lightning Storm bait out the IP and leave monster on the field, then Kaiju summon, you're guaranteed to get like to summon out the Kaijus, and then you win from there. So yeah, these two could be second Raigeki and third Lightning Storm. Note on triple attacks, 90% of the time it uses to draw 2 cards. The take control of one opponent's monster is like, it's like whatever. As I mentioned, like 1-for-1 removal is not the most impactful this meta, especially since all you're gonna mostly take is a bunch of like weak level 2 monsters that don't have important effects, so it's like whatever. And you really need as many cards as you can when you play into boards, like as many live cards as possible. The looking at your opponent's hand is like, I mean, if you're activating a third effect, you already won the game. So like you know, like you didn't need the triple attacks in the first place because this is a going second deck. And if you can play through everything already, then that means the game's over. You don't have to wait for your opponent to break your board or anything. As for the extra deck, we run DIVA, so Baron and Chang is staple. I made 2 concessions to the Ishizu pile deck, because the Ishizu pile deck I think is actually this deck's worst matchup. That's like a commonly played matchup, not something random like an FTKs. Obviously, if you're playing an FTK, like you're gonna win against this deck. I don't run hand traps, but I don't think there's too many FTK decks running around. You know, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, I made 2 concessions in the extra deck to deal with pile decks. Those 2 are number 68, Sanafond, and Ruddy Rose. So Sanafond basically just prevents people from summoning from their grave. So most importantly, what I do is you summon this and that baits out their snow. Hopefully they only have 1 snow. You know, if they have multiple snow, like I don't think any deck's beating that. But you summon this out, you bait out their snow, then the snow is on the field, and then you just leave it there. And you hopefully they don't have some kind of IP, or they have an IP, you kaiju it, so like the snow stays on the field. Then you don't have to worry about the snow disruption for the rest of the turn. If you have the DIVA against the pile deck that milled you a bunch, you could make Ruddy Rose and then just banish their entire graveyard, you know, force out the snows right there as well. Same concept, so it has... I think Ruddy Rose is a higher impact against random decks. It's also, funnily enough, it has 3200 attack, which is 200 higher than Baron or Changing when there's no banish cards. They can also run over your Dogoron that you give them. Like, funny enough, like the 200 attack has like mattered in like an OZK line for me before. Yeah, you basically summon this when you're... Because if you're playing against a pile deck and they set up the grave, which they're going to, again, we don't run disruptions. This prevent them from milling, so that's an unfortunate side effect of this type of build. Like, you're probably not going to be able to OTK or them through all of their graveyard resources. So you make this, and then you just get rid of the graveyard resources. Hopefully that's, you know, it gives you a chance to win. I think the Ishizu Pile decks are like the worst matchup for 8-axis. Funnily enough, like I thought they would be much more common, but I faced a single Ishizu deck in my entire climb from Duelist level 10 to Duelist level 20, and it wasn't even it was a freaking Octoadic like Ishizu Pile that didn't even run snow, so like it didn't do anything threatening, and it just burned its own life points with Verte, and then I killed it. So, and maybe Ishizu's not as common as I thought it would be. I think that deck's really good, but maybe everyone's still Spright pilled. But anyway, level rank 8 Xyz. Ingirsu is staple Zeus, the Pain Gainer 7 cents package to overlay Zeus on top of for more materials. Zombie Vampire, I don't go into as much anymore since I cut the Ethers and the Gren Maju. I'm running more level 8 bodies, so this doesn't really provide as much value as getting more extenders anymore if I already have them. And again, I'm not running triple mind control anymore, and I rarely take their monster tactics, so you don't get to overlay your opponent's monsters that often either. Although funnily enough, one game against Fluid, they gave me a Robina with Jack in the hand, and then I made Zombie Vampire with the Robina. It was not necessary, it was just BM, but you know, it was funny that happened. Old Harbinger, I've summoned this exactly once, hard mated with 2 level 8s, and I lost the GAT game anyways. This is just the thing you overlay under Numeron Dragon. So Numeron Dragon, the most common way you OTK with Numeron Dragon right now, it's not having it just make Jaglubion attack directly or whatever. It's your opponent most likely has a monster on the field, most likely a Kaiju that you give them. Then you make another rank 8 on the field. It's usually something like either a Dingirsu to clear out the back row, or a Photon Lord to play around a hand trap. Then you make Jaglubion, and then you summon Numeron Dragon. And Numeron Dragon gains 1k attack for the rank of every Xyz monster on the field. So if you make this with another rank, if you make Jaglubion and another rank 8, at minimum, there are 17 ranks on your side of the field, so there's a 17k. A lot of times against Spright, they will have like something like a leftover Gigantic Elf on the field, and Gigantic Elf counts as 2 ranks, so that's another 2k. So sometimes you don't even need the second rank 8 Xyz, because with Numeron Dragon plus Jaglubion plus a Gigantic Elf on field, that's 11k, and 11k is enough to OTK through any 3k attack monster. So any Kaiju you give them basically this game. And that leads into one of the best cards in the extra deck, like, not gonna lie, the Mannequin Cat, this thing carried me. This is such a good card when you play the Diva patch. This is like, honestly, I've gotten just as much use out of Mannequin Cat from playing Divas as I have gotten from level 10 Synchros. Since so number 1, it by itself, a lot of times, you know, if you're blowing second deck, you win a die roll, you make your opponent go first, they will sometimes pass on an empty board thinking you're Numeron. So if you, at that point, if your hand is like really weird and you have a bunch of Kaijus and Kaiju Slumbers but not enough level 8 bodies, since these 3 are the only pretty much easily summonable level 8s, and sometimes you don't open multiple, you can at the very least go Diva into Mannequin Cat as a rank 2 and then overlay Downer on top and make a 4-mat Zeus with just Diva. So that's like, I think you should always have a rank 2 Xyz and plus Downer in the extra when you're playing Diva now, just for that scenario. What's very cool about Mannequin Cat is, again, it's a rank 2, so it counts as 2k attack for Numeron Dragon. And against any deck, pretty much, you have dark monsters, you have winged beasts, you have beasts, you have machines, you have insects, you have fire, water, aqua, wind monsters. Like, you will always have a way to summon a level 8 monster from your deck with Mannequin Cat. You summon any monster from your grave, target that monster, then you get a free level 8 body. Then you're just one level 8 body away from Dragooblion. They use new Mannequin Cat to get a level 8 body, then you make Dragooblion with the free level 8 plus another level 8 body, and then you make Numemon Dragon, and then you have an 11k Numemon Dragon just like that. And as discussed before, Numemon Dragon with 11k attack, OTKs past anything. Particularly OTK past any kaiju you get them. And I know if you saw my replay video, that I did that a lot. I abused Mannequin Cat plus Numemon Dragon for extra attack into opponent's monsters a lot, and you win a lot of games like that. Right, so here we got a duel against a Runick Spright. I mean, there's really nothing much to say there in their turn. Just doing Runick Spright stuff. Yeah, blue, add carrot. Summon carrot, gigantic. Get cap shell into elf, into terraform, into get interesting, they run terraforming. And Jin Buster. Okay, cool. I mean, that's not the best board I've seen, I'm gonna be honest. And a lightning storm. See if I can bait out the carrot, and they just let it go. I'm guessing they didn't have any runic spells in hand, so yeah, now they have carrot and red. They're gonna revive the blue, just whatever. Now I'm just gonna kaiju the red and get our trade-in off, draw 2 cards. Triple tactics. This is one of the few times where I use triple tactics take effect. We take their Jin Buster, and that locks out their red. Now we can continue to play. And for some reason they chain Maxi now. And you know what? I'm completely fine. I'd let that go. That's how little I respect the amount of no hand traps that Runick Spright can draw into. We're gonna go into Baron now. Now we have two monster negates out. So just to insulate our plays. Summon out Gizmek. Summon Ghidarwa. Going to Dragooblion. Dragooblion effect. Summon Numemon Dragon. Numemon Dragon effect. They're gonna carrot, and we're gonna negate their carrot with our own Jin Buster. And they attributed their attack position to Elf, but you know, that's fine because we gave them a kaiju to attack into. Yeah, typical Runick Spright game. Draw all the things off Maxi you want. Alright, so now we got a game against a back row deck. Now, every time you face a back row deck, you have like a 50% chance of auto winning because of the 3 lightning storms and dusters plus like all the draw spells. This is a game where we don't draw those immediately, so we're gonna have to play into their back row. We start by Slumber just to get a kaiju on their field so that I can start summoning stuff. Next we summon Thunderbird, get rid of Bigfoot. Unfortunate because I don't want to pop my Dogoron. Then we go into Dingear Suit. See if I want to see if I can get them to preemptively flip. What's up, Gaia? I want to see if I can get them to preemptively flip their Welcome Labrynth, you know, bait them into it. They don't take the bait though, so I end up having to send a random card and I hit the Imperial Iron Wall, literally the worst hit I could have had. And next, when I go into Pain Gainer, we're gonna Compulse, smart. They're gonna leave my Lightning Storm to be live, but it's only for 2 back row now, and they can just chain the Welcome Labrynth, so it doesn't really do much. They do get out Lovely Lady though, which isn't doing anything right now. Unfortunately, my hand is, you know, triple tactics. Really good against Spright, really awful against back row decks. At no point, you're gonna see this card stuck in my hand for a hot second. So, with no plays other than the Gizmek in my hand, I just have to fire off the Dark Hole and put them on 1 card. And push for a little bit of damage. And opponent's turn, you know, unfortunately they draw away into another Labrynth and another Imperial Iron Wall. You know, gee, that's a great card against me. Yeah, they're gonna flip the Labrynth in draw phase, get the field spell, and I can't do anything to that, so I'm just gonna add a Kaiju to my hand this turn, thin out my deck, banish 3 from my extra, and then attack directly. You know, put them on some kind of a clock. I don't know, so if they draw into strikes or something, those are dead. They're gonna Labrynth, set a trap, and this trap is Dogmatic Punishment, of course. And then they're gonna reset the trap, they're gonna activate this stuff. Again, all in the draw phase, you know, I love playing around triple tactics like that. I'm gonna Dark Hole again, summon back the Gizmek, and attack directly for a 3rd time. This is the most work my Gizmek has ever put in, I think. Next, you're gonna welcome Labrynth again, get rid of my Gizmek, reset it, get back the Stove, which does not do anything right now except block, and set 2 more back row. Draw into a Diva. I'm gonna summon the Diva. They're gonna compulse the Diva back to my hand. Thank you. I think I banished the other one, so it's kind of dead. Oh wait, I didn't banish the other one actually. They're gonna do all their Labrynth stuff, and finally, my triple tactics is live after 8 turns. I draw 2 cards, and I draw into the worst cards in my deck. A second triple tactics and a lightning storm is very live. So anyway, we're gonna Raigeki their field again, summon out the Gizmek, and gonna hit by the welcome Labrynth. You know, expected. Gonna get back 2 Chandeliers. If they talk, I was for a second, like when I was in this game, I was like, bro, if they top deck Spright Blue and summon it, I'm just gonna concede the game because they're a better duelist than I am. I've seen some weird Labrynth combos in my time on Master Duel. Yeah, we're gonna summon the second Diva that they gave us. Flip summon limit. I'm gonna. You notice my cards in deck? There are none. Fun fact: you can still activate Bigfoot with no cards in deck. The thing is, though, if you end up summoning it, yeah, you lose the game because you can not actually draw. So my plan is to empty out my hand and then ditch Bigfoot so I can pop for summon limit. Anyway, they're gonna Dogmatic Punishment my other Diva, and Tessa's gonna pop the card I set for some reason and not my other Diva, which is gonna end up costing them in the end because they're gonna summon out the lovely Lady Labrynth. And I'm gonna triple tactics, take their lovely Labrynth, summon tribute over one of their Chandeliers, and now with Bigfoot as my only card in hand, I'm free to pitch it safely and use it to pop their summon limit. And that's gonna let me go into Changing. I haven't been keeping track of the back row, but if those are just more Labrynth cards, they're probably dead. So. And they've used 2 Dogmatic Punishment. Like, Compulse would have been really bad, but they also have gone through 2 Compulse. So this Changing with a 5800 attack is going to get in. It's the second one of 2 games I won where I nearly decked myself out. Alright, let's open our pack rewards from the Duelist Cup rewards. And anyway, if you want to watch more, if you like this, if you think this deck's interesting, if you want to watch more gameplay and more replays of the deck, I have another video showing me absolutely demolishing every Spright and Runick Spright deck I faced against. I'll link it here, somewhere here. Sick. Okay. Pack 1. Dark Magic Curtain. Okay, yeah, we don't need to see all the commons. Cordius. Sick. No Ancient Pixie, unfortunately. Ancient Pixie was the only one I was really looking for. I already have triple Armades. triple magical hats. The Nimsodin gauge moment. Yeah, have a nice day, guys.